Hey there, you're at the APTOS Wyckoff analysis session, and we'll look at both weekly and daily time frame and see what the price actions are telling us. So, as always, weekly first, as it's going to bound what the daily can do. So 2 weeks ago we already put in these tags like this should be a sign of strength, even though it's a bit lower than the automatic rally. Here there's a lower one, but the high point was close to what we had back in early May, so I'll give it another sign of strength. There can be multiple signs of strength happened during an accumulation cycle, and this backup or last point of support, I don't see. It may be brewing, but it's not clear yet because it's coming back to the level where we had our first test after the selling climax. That was back in late March. So we have 3 tests so far after the selling climax since February time. So it's common to see in a longer period of accumulation, we have multiple tests and multiple signs of strength. It basically is something that is testing the demand of or the confidence of the market towards this particular asset. So one thing in particular for July 14th, this green bar over here, even though it's green, the long wick at the top is something that we have to consider, because that means quite a lot of people took profit at that point. Maybe they took reference from what happened in May at around $6.25. That's why that kind of high bit of selling over there. But likewise, during end June, these green bar and high volume over there signals at the low or the lower boundary of the long-term playground zone at around $3.80. That's pretty strong support over there. So that's why we are seeing this kind of horizontal trading over the past few weeks. So while we're hoping for the last leg of the accumulation to happen and eventually develops into the next distribution cycle, we hope something similar happen here. That's what we can get at the moment. We see gradual increase in volume. If we look at what we have over here, it's a bit of an ascending line. So hope that continues, because that's what's needed for the new distribution cycle to come. So that's the macro picture. Going to the micro, the daily. So here, we've already seen the spring in last session 2 weeks ago, and like I mentioned in many sessions, that during an accumulation we can see multiple tests. So no matter we call that a spring, a second test, or just a test, there's still tests of confidence or demand in a particular asset, just like I said in the beginning of the video. So now it comes down to this zone to retest again. So previously we drawn this upward channel box. Obviously over the past 10 days the price has fallen outside of this upward channel, but there's no worry about it because it's something normal that always happens. So if you consider these not channels but flags, like upward flags, downward flags in terms of candlestick analysis, upward flag means bearish, that's why in the end it comes down. Downward flag means bullish, that was why it went up a bit too. Even though the price in the end may not be like higher than where it started dropping. So that's the tricky part when you look at or study candlestick pattern analysis. So it tells you it's bullish, but it never tells you how bullish it is, right? We just got back to where we started. It depends on when or how long you track back across the timeline. So here, while the test continues, the bottom is building, and one good thing about here is a level higher than the spring as well as the selling climax. So if I draw a line over here and enlarge this a little, you see the wick at this second test, not selling climax, sorry, correct what I said earlier. So the second test went pretty deep, very close to the white line, and the spring actually hit the white line over here. So the current test, the low point, even though this volume bar is pretty high, the ending price or the lowest price isn't as bad as what we had in June as well as April. So that may be a bit of relief for some of our fellow traders. So here, one more thing I want to check, as usual, is the Bollinger Band Keltner squeeze. So previously we had a couple of squeeze. That's why we see some kind of price surge or like price drop over here. Now there isn't a squeeze yet, so I'm more inclined to suspect that more accumulation is happening, or like consolidation. So it may continue to consolidate within this lower half of the orange tunnel. So it may consolidate a bit further, and when the squeeze happens, then it's time for the price to shoot up to wherever, may it be another sign of strength or even to a backup or last point of supply trading range. That means at around the SOS level, it trade horizontal a bit and then eventually goes to a new distribution cycle. So that's how I read it when I look at the charts. And back to the weekly to see whether there's something or last comment I want to make before we wait for the wait for 2 weeks for coming back to APTOS again. Yeah, it looks to me it's still consolidating, and yeah, while a squeeze is happening, in 2 weeks time, maybe, I'm just guessing out loud at the moment, in 2 weeks time maybe it would still be within the channel, meaning somewhere around the automatic rally level back in February. So that's around $6, mid $6. That's my guess by now till our next session. That may happen, that the price would try to test this level, unless there's some very crazy news that the price suddenly surged above it in 2 weeks. But if that happens, that means it's a good news for the bull teams, because the bulls has waited for quite a while, since December last year, for a distribution cycle to happen that may go all the way to challenge the $14.60 level. So finger crossed, within these 2 weeks hopefully something good happen to APTOS,